What is good, YouTube? It's your boy Zay coming back to another video. And in this video, I'm going to talk about Drake's album. Alright, I have been listening to it. I've been kind of meditating on it a little bit more. And so I'm going to share you guys a little bit of my thoughts, actually. Alright, I'm going to be honest with you. It has left me definitely in a sense of, I don't really know how to describe it. It's like I'm in the middle with it. And I say this because on one hand, I understand why people say that this album was mid or trash. But also on the other hand, I understand how people say that this was the best Drake I've heard. And there's going to be a reason why. And I want to actually show you this clip from Ak because I'm going to be kind of basing some of my thoughts off of what Ak is saying and reacting to what he says as well. I wanted to listen to it before I've actually heard anyone's thoughts or opinions on it. Again, I'm 50-50 with it. I don't hate it, but I'm not like, I don't know. It's different. It's definitely different though. I don't hate it. I think it's pretty good, but I also think that it's okay at the same time. I don't know.
Okay, so now tell me why you feel like what I said was personal.
No, because you said he like rapping like a kid, like he appealing to the kids, and
That's
it's like,
exactly
bro,
that's exactly what he did.
He is, but he also appealing to a wider audience than I feel like you ever had.
Whoa. That negates the point.
How?
We already know about the audience he is appealing to, but he managed to rap sort of like what I'm saying on Her Loss. He appealed to that same audience. This particular album, there is none of that. It's a lot of songs that should have been on Yachty's album. It's a few songs that just sound like it's for the TikTok young streaming demo, which is cool. But when you are the leader of the pack, you choose how to dictate. So it's disappointing to hear him sound like Lil Uzi Vert or Travis Scott or Playboy Cardi or all of these niggas he's trying to mimic. Drake don't need Lil Yachty in the studio to help him with nothing. That nigga's Jesus in this shit damn near.
All right, so the guy says that Drake is appealing to a wider audience and a younger crowd, which, yeah, I'm glad Joe, obviously stopped him there because we already know that Drake is appealing to a wide audience. Here's where I think I differ on Joe and what he said on this part. To me, it seems as if Joe wants the old Drake, the same Drake that he grew up with, that Drake. And I think that, if you ask me, I think that comes from a little bit of a place of entitlement. And also when he's talked about, the TikTok crowd, he feels like, some of the songs should be on Yachty's album. Pretty much, I mean, what I'm thinking is alluding to him saying that this should be for a much younger person on their album. And when he talked about he's the leading artist, and since he's the leader, he should be the person dictating what type of music he wants to create. And him talking about how he doesn't need Lil Yachty and all that stuff. Here's where I disagree with that. I think that it's actually a good thing that he has Lil Yachty on, help him write the album, because Lil Yachty is part of the younger crowd. Of course, I think that's a genius thing to do, because he really gets to really get the feeling of how to appeal to a younger crowd, since he's a much older person. He's not going to understand that for the most part. So he needs someone to be able to, give him the pointers on, okay, here's what I think you should do to be able to attract a much younger crowd, which I don't think nothing's wrong with that. I think that Joe Budden, this is what I'm thinking, is that I don't think that he likes Drake's newer approach to things, because Drake has been doing this, especially when it comes to media, appealing to much a younger crowd. And so again, this is where I think that Joe wants the old Drake, but this is where I think that there comes to a level of entitlement from Joe as a Drake fan, especially one who's seen him on the come up, seen him watching Degrassi and all that stuff like that, and seen his much older projects after Nothing Was This, before Nothing Was the Same. And I think that comes from a place of entitlement because, well, sure, right? You talk about, he shouldn't be listening to a younger person, but who are you to dictate exactly what Drake should or shouldn't do with his own art? He's the person creating his music. So if he wants to create his music for a much younger crowd, he should do that, and he shouldn't be able to get, well, I'd say not criticized for it, but you shouldn't be mad if this is what he wants to do.
Yachty does not.
By the way, I think Joe saying that Drake was sounding like Playboy Cardi and Uzi, that's hyperbole, which means he's just exaggerating a lot. I think he was just basically saying that new young crowd, and even now we got to be honest, like ain't Uzi about to be 30. So again, Uzi isn't really the youngest. It's the Destroy Lonely and the Ken Carsons and the Yeats and the there's like almost a new underground that really, the kids are paying attention to, definitely on TikTok and other places, but they haven't gotten that mainstream shine yet.
Okay, yeah, I would definitely say the much younger crowd would be Destroy Lonely, Yeet, and Summers, Autumn, Jades, Shiromani, Rich Amiri, and so on and so forth. And I can't forget like King Carson. By the way, I actually do love their music as well. And I'm actually in an interesting place myself because, and this is another reason why I'm actually like I'm like, I'm 50-50 sometimes with the album, is because, well, I'm not too young, but I'm not too old either. Like I'm literally the crowd that would be into Destroy Lonely and all that stuff and Ken Carson. I relate to them because, well, I relate to them and they're only like probably a year or 2 years younger than me. But also at the same time, the crowd who's much older, like the 20s, 30s, and all that stuff like that, I also understand them as well and where they're coming from because, well, they're only like 3 or 5 years ahead of me. So like I'm literally in the middle when it comes to this. And again, I think as age comes on, eventually I'm going to be that person who's in a much older crowd, an older demographic, and I'm not going to really understand probably what the younger people are seeing in some of these artists. You know what I mean? Like after this whole run of artists and stuff like that, they start to get a little older. They're going to be in my predicament where they're like, some people gonna probably be, young, or they understand the older crowd, but also understand the younger crowd. And some people are going to be fully on the younger side where they don't understand the older crowd. So like it's something that's always going to happen. The older crowd is always going to be less understanding to the younger crowd, and the younger crowd is going to see the older crowd as, a villain.
The older you get in music, you shouldn't be less vulnerable. Drake is at the top. You shouldn't have been more vulnerable earlier in your career. You shouldn't have been a better rapper earlier in your career. And if that's still there, which it clearly is, because he'll Instagram some bars. That shit Instagram was heat this morning. Whatever the one that ended with the Toronto kids. That was heat. Nigga,
You
put
just
it
read
on
that.
a project. I'm a core Drake fan. So yeah, I was there for comeback.
All right, this is the part where I'm actually going to agree with Joe on his part. And I agree with him because, yeah, as you get older as an artist, you shouldn't be less shallow in how you're expressing yourself. And this is where I think I actually have to, this is where one of the things I would critique about the album, because I get a sense of Drake, of the old Drake, just a sense, but it's like almost masked up. It's like a shell version of himself, of a Drake that I once knew of. Like it's definitely different. It's definitely a different Drake, but I feel as if a masked Drake, if you will. So yeah, I definitely agree with Joe on this part. You shouldn't be less vulnerable on as you get, your artist career takes off and you keep growing and all that stuff. You should definitely keep being more vulnerable and even expand on how you become more vulnerable in your music. So yeah, this is where I agree with Joe on. But this is where I think again it reinforces this idea towards the end of this clip where Joe called himself a core fan. When he says that, to me, how I hear that, it sounds like again a level of entitlement of saying, I'm a real true Drake fan. You guys don't even know about this old album from Drake, yada 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 here, insert here. And it's like you see what I'm saying though? It sounds as if he's coming from a place of entitlement to how Drake should sound.
By the way, as I listened to this conversation, and remember when me and Boom were talking, I was realizing, first of all, I don't think none of this stuff is that like personal and like people like trying to get. Well, Joe did get a little personal, but for the rest of people, I think we're finally seeing Drake's fan base has always been like this huge monolith where even if you're 40 or you're 17, you're almost still okay with the content. I think we're finally at the point where everybody who is 31, 32 plus, right, that listen to Drake, and the niggas who are in their 20s and teens that listen to Drake, there's beef. There's beef because now the music, like Drake, one thing about Drake, he's always been great at making music for like this palette of people where international people would be fed. People who love R&B would be fed. The hip hop purists who are backpack niggas who would be fed. Like he would make music for a wide variety and a range of people, which is, by the way, always made it tough for him to make a bona fide classic because he has to make classic songs and put the shit together and still check all these boxes. We're finally at the point with Drake where I think the oldest of his supporters, which I think the oldest of his supporters call themselves the core, because they're under the assumption that if you're a core fan of Drake, you love So Far Gone, right? You love Thank Me Later and Take Care, and that kind of birthed him, and obviously nothing was the same, birthed him into this fucking phenom and Megatron that he becomes. So it's the first time we're seeing the top half of Drake's fan base are now beefing with the bottom half. Because, again, there is a lot of people that are saying, yo, no, this shit is hard. What are you talking about? And those are usually the youngest of the fans, right? So you have his older fans beefing with the youngest of fans. And remember I told you, back to that fork in the road thing, I think Drake is like, yo, listen, without him saying it, like I remember when Jay-Z said, niggas want my old shit, go buy my old album. I think Drake is kind of there saying, yo, you want that Drake? Well, go listen to that Drake, because I am moving forward. And not saying he's trying to isolate people, but he is moving forward in what he finds forward. And yeah, it is what it is. Let me keep playing.
Now, yes, I agree with Ak on this part. No matter how old you are or young you are, everyone can listen to Drake. Like he has such a palette range for everyone. Like I don't know who doesn't like Drake. Now, one thing that I definitely would say is that when he talked about the people in their 20s, which in the younger crowd, which is where I definitely lay, I'm in the much younger crowd than the people who are like 30 years old and all that stuff. 30 years old, 31 years old or plus, or 25 and plus and stuff like that. Like when I listened to it, I thought it was pretty amazing. Like a part of me is like the much like me listening to how Drake was when I grew up on Drake was Nothing Was the Same Drake. That's when I first heard about Drake. Nothing Was the Same Drake was still and still is my favorite Drake. I still think that's his best project of all time. And I think the older people definitely agree with that as well. But I also, as well, part of me, the younger side of me, for this album, thought that this was like, it was just a little bit below Nothing Was the Same, in my opinion. It was amazing, in my opinion. But again, the other side of me is like, this is not the same Drake I grew up with. So there could possibly be a contingency within myself of just getting older and hearing a newer part of Drake. But I definitely say that this was an amazing album but I'm still 50-50 about it because I feel like an internal conflict within myself about it. But it's funny how points this almost like civil war and the older people versus the younger people in this, because again, they've grown up with Nothing Was the Same and beyond, before it, stuff before that. I didn't grow up on that. So I never listened to his older stuff. His older stuff beyond that point. I've listened to 2014, 2013 Drake from there to now. So that's the only Drake that I know of. I definitely see the old Drake there, but I don't. It's definitely a different Drake now, which is okay. That's cool. And I liked what Axe said about for the older people, if you want, when he quoted Jay-Z, if you want the old Drake, just listen to the old Drake music. Like, it's pretty simple. You're not going to keep getting the same artist, because what's going to end up happening, I'm going to let you know what's going to happen, is that people are going to get bored of you. It's again how I said about DaBaby and all that stuff like that. When you keep hearing the same type of person, it's like, it gets boring, bro. It's good to switch things up. It's good to constantly evolve as an artist and never stay stagnant, because that's how you constantly be able to grow, whether it's good or bad. Constant growth and change is the best thing you can do as an artist. Keep evolving your music.
Daddy Logic, thank you for the 5. He says, yo, Drake is having issues with becoming older. That's why he's lashing out. I don't think he's having issues with him growing older. I seen his father comment something today, and it's not that I believe Drake's having a problem with aging. I think he, or maybe the people around him too, they're having a problem with y'all trying to throw him in the act your age bucket. Yo, act your age, buddy. Yo, bro, you still rapping about that? You old now. Like, that, one of those, right? Like, you know how we do with Nicki Minaj a little bit? Let's be honest. Remember when we say, yo, auntie, stop rolling around the Thanksgiving table. Like, yo, you fucking up the stuffing and the mashed potatoes. And yo, what the fuck? You know what I mean? We're basically telling her, like, yo, act like someone who's 45. I think Drake is fighting that. He's a youthful person. He's always made music for the bachelors, the people who are, just youthful in spirit. And I think he has an issue with people telling him to make music for a lifestyle he's not living yet, right? Drake doesn't come across like the nigga who's living the Jay-Z lifestyle, which, like, no disrespect to Jay-Z. Jay-Z's walking down the beach with Jack Dorsey and his wife, and he's wearing these open toe chancletas. You know what I mean? Like, he's not trying to hit the club and trying to turn up. Like, Jay's in a different world. So if Jay came back and be like, yeah, I'm fucking all these bitches sucking my dick, yo, I'm about to bag a hoe, we'd be looking at him like, yo, bro, that's not your life right now. Like, in reality, that's just not your life. I think with Drake, despite his age, that is Drake's life. Like, Drake is rapping still about the things that he's doing. Now, you might have a critique to say, dog, you should grow past it, but who are we to tell a nigga when he should stop doing certain shit? You get what I mean? If I had $1 billion and I'm 37 and every bitch on planet Earth want me and I could do whatever I want, man, come on now. Anyway, let me keep this going.
All right, this is where I definitely agree with Ack on this part, because Drake is definitely youthful in spirit. Definitely, I would say Drake is still youthful in spirit. Like, it definitely has that feeling of youthfulness in it. Like, Drake is still the most popular rapper of today. That's hands down. That's facts. That's facts. Drake is still popular, and on top of that, he's popular even with the younger crowd now. They look up to Drake, and as well, they feel like they can relate to Drake, in a sense, as far as like, I don't know how he comes off to them. Like he appeals to the younger crowd. So Drake still appeals to our demographic and still younger and all that stuff. He just as well as he appeals to people who are, older. And again, it's just something unique about Drake because sure, at his age he's I think like 45 or something like that. Don't know. 35, I don't know. But to us, he appears as if he is one of us, or like he's still that 25-year-old Drake. Like it feels as if he's still that 25-year-old young Drake. Like he feels young. Now, I agree with the other part with he definitely don't live no Jay-Z type of life. Not yet at least. He's rich. Yeah, he's a millionaire, probably even a billionaire. But he's definitely not living like no Jay-Z now. Or maybe he could be, but he just doesn't choose to. But nevertheless, he doesn't. So you gotta realize, bro, Drake, again, he's popular, bro. Every girl wants Drake. Drake might not have, I don't know. I don't know if Drake features still, hold that same weight it used to. It still does hold weight, but I don't know if it holds that weight anymore now. It's now about what I think holds weight more with Drake is just hanging with Drake, being around Drake. I think that is the thing that holds more weight with Drake now. But other thing as well that Axe said was, well, who are you to tell him what he should do, and all that stuff? And it's like, okay, yeah, you know what I'm saying? Like I I agree, but I disagree as well because I think when you get older, you should learn to start maturing more. This is where I'm gonna be agreeing much more with the older people on this part. But again, it's not fully. It's like partially there. Because you should start becoming much more mature in how you think. Definitely. But again, it's like, who are you to really tell the person what he should or shouldn't do? Like, you know what I mean? All right, let me add in something extra before I give you guys my favorite songs on the album. So here's the extra thing. When I listened to this album, and the reason why I said it was like it was below Nothing Was the Same, was because it gave me since I had a vague sense of the old Drake in there, it definitely gave me some nostalgia, bro, when I was in like middle school listening to Nothing the Same for the first time on the radio. Like it gives me that vibes. When I was in middle school, I was a little jit, what I'm saying? I was a little fetus just in school and life. I'm just chilling. I'm just vibing out on life. Like I'm like, it's like ignorant, like a blissful ignorance in life. Like you didn't know exactly what was going on. You just going to school, you just chilling, you just having fun in life. Like that's what it reminds me of when I listen to this Now, besides that, I'm gonna give you guys my favorite songs on Drake's album. First song would be Virginia Beach. I loved it. I thought it was a pretty cool, chill, and calm album. Like it's very peaceful, very like beachy kind of. Amen. This was like kind of like a churchier kind of song. Or at least a sense of it. I wouldn't say it would be because it's definitely not praising God. Definitely not. But it's kind of like using some elements of church. But thought this was pretty cool. Next one is Calling for You. This one was particularly pretty good for me. In the beginning of the song, it sounds as if Drake is like talking about a girl that he met at the club and all that stuff like that, and slept with her. I believe it. I think something was crazy in the lyrics. I can't remember what I don't know if I can't remember what I heard. But no, look, nevertheless, look. Okay, I thought the first half of the part was pretty dope. Then it had this like towards the middle of it. It was like this girl talking on IG Live. That's what it sounded like to me, as if someone would be talking on IG Live, talking about, the food service, the room service and all that stuff, the food, eating the oxtails, the food, oxtails every day, yada, yada, yada. And then the other half, the last part of it, which was where 21 came in, and I thought 21 did his thing. He did his thing on this one. Not really a lot of merit in this song, but you're gonna see that throughout the entire album. In all honesty, it's gonna be a lot of like heartbroken Drake, not that same Drake that you've seen in the past. Like here's one thing I definitely want to say. Like when I compare Drake to Kanye, it's like two Jurassic things. Like Drake is like how I think about this. Drake is almost like the guy who's never gotten rid of that feeling of like, say like someone did you dirty. Drake is like the guy who's never forgotten that you've been done dirty and never matured from that point. He just kept that feeling and kept that same feeling of anger towards that person because this person did something to you. Which, you know what I mean? Like, okay, right? I don't know, but that's what I was thought. But Kanye, here's one of the things. Kanye is like he matures. Like he's definitely matured over time. Like definitely, I can see that in his music and how he like Kanye has a much more heartfelt lyrics and all that stuff like that. Easily, I think Kanye is a better rapper than Drake. Definitely, as far as in the storytelling and all that other stuff, I think Kanye is a way better rapper when it comes to that sense. And he creates a vibe as well. I don't know. It's just this is my little thoughts on that part. But next song is Daylight. And I particularly like this one because I liked his flow in this. I don't know if I can say it because YouTube might copyright that. But look, that was pretty nice. And then on top of that, he added his son at the end of the song. Now, one thing I definitely, have a question for when it came to what his son just said, because there was a part in the song where he said, "I like it when you lick it. I like it when she licks it," or something like that. I don't know what that's supposed to entail, but I would hope, I would hope that he's not telling his son how to a girl, what I'm implying, something sexual. I would hope that he isn't teaching his son that, but I wouldn't be surprised if he was. Next song is First Person Shooter, and I don't even need to say too much. First Person Shooter was amazing, like hands down amazing. Drake and J. Cole bodied this song easily. Like, I don't even have nothing to say about it. I loved this song. Next song I really loved was I Don't Give a. This was a really good song. This was with Yeet, and this was a much more younger person. As far as the TikTok crowd goes, like this was amazing. In fact, honestly, I say Yeet did better than Drake on this song, and this felt more like a Yeet song than it did a Drake song. In all honesty, like Drake was like a side character on this song. Like I'm gonna be honest with you, Yeet really just carried Drake on this. Like Yeet did phenomenal. Like, and this is much more of a coherent Yeet, which is what I want to hear. I want to hear that coherent Yeet. I don't want to hear don't want to hear that Yeet. I want to hear coherent Yeet. Another song would be 7969 Santa. I love this song because it was pretty cool. It was pretty smooth. It was like a chill, mellow song. I definitely like some of the. I definitely like the Chief Keef Don't Like song. That was beautiful. I love that little snippet in there. Pretty cool, but yeah, I love the song. Another song I definitely like was Slime Me Out. Song with SZA. I think she did amazing. This low key reminds me of Nothing the Same with the song with Jania Aiko. SZA did really good on this album. I'm not gonna lie, she did really good. Drake did it very good as well with this. Again, this is where I feel some of that nostalgia of that middle school me listening to Drake, bro. Like this song was one of those. Like this was amazing. Another song was 8 a.m. in Charlotte. I love that song. It was just so dope. A song that caught me off guard, I'm not even gonna lie, was BBL Love. Like that caught me off, way off guard. Like what he said was crazy. The rest of the songs I thought was pretty cool. Just weren't really my favorites. Anyway, I do hope you enjoy the rest of the video. It means the world to me. Don't forget to hit that like, comment, subscribe button. And with all that being said, I love you, Dark Knights.
Baby, come and jump on it, up on it. Let's do it. Ride it, up on it in my saddle. Baby, come and jump on it.